This is The Gorge. It's a podcast where my friend Sarah and I gorge ourselves in what's happening in the world of video games and entertainment.
The Gorge is brought to you by Patreon. That's patreon.com/thegorge, where for just $5 a month you gain access to not one, but two entire podcasts. $5 gets you Takeout, a monthly commentary track where instead of putting in effort and playing something, because that's a lot of work and cuts into extremely vital Final Fantasy XIV time, we instead watch something and talk over it. And then $2 if you're being cheap, or if that's all you got. I guess cheap is not the right term. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
$2 gets you That's Hell You're Walking Into, a monthly series where Ben comes to me and does his damnedest to remove all of the Final Fantasy XIV poison from his brain so that he can instead ask me questions about the other thing that routinely poisons our brain: Fate Grand Order, Fate Stay Night, and everything else under the Nasuverse umbrella. Sometimes he asks me Tsukihime questions on accident, and I gotta go, It's a great show.
This bleach isn't doing it for me now. What if I ate fertilizer instead?
What if I combine the two, and you're just, like, eating both, like, fistfuls of it? Great, I feel sick. Who am I again? So yeah, That's How You're Walking Into. It is good, and you get that for $2. Ben, you threw off my spiel, damn it. If you think that stuff sounds great, head on over to patreon.com/thegorge. Kick in however much you can afford. We appreciate literally every single dollar. Your continued support helps us. It helps out the channel because it helps pay for games that we can talk about. And we appreciate every single one of you.
Thank you to JT, Steel Condor, Niharbot, Red Lantern Reviews, Holy Star 64, Patrick Perez, Roddy 1/2, Saturn, Alice Marks, Shia, Magus, Jack, Liam Lane, and that other one dude.
Thank you all. We love you very much.
So I have a feeling I know the answer to this question. But Sarah, did you do anything besides play Final Fantasy XIV?
Not a goddamn thing. I don't even know what other video games look like anymore. I'm supposed to play Horizon Forbidden West somewhere between now and like the middle of March, and I'm just like, what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna go get like illegally acquire some Adderall and just like pound the whole thing out in a weekend. Just like, out of my mind on amphetamines, and just be like, when I'm done with it, I'll be like, okay, we're good, I'm ready. So that way I can maximize my Final Fantasy XIV time, because I started Shadowbringers, and boy, oh boy, I'm not going to say anything, because you're still in the, you just started Stormblood.
Yep.
But boy, oh boy, that leap in quality. Whew, lad. Shadowbringers just starts, like, it aggressively starts, and I love it.
But yeah, so I did finish Heavensward, like finish, it's done.
Yes.
There's no more Heavensward left.
You did it. You climbed that whole mountain.
I'm finally out of Fantasy Vatican.
You finally can leave those fucking elves, those Catholic elves behind.
Except for when I have to go there to do like the Machinist quest and Dark Knight quests.
Yeah,
Beyond that, I'm officially out of the Vatican and into Fantasy Kamurocho.
Oh yeah, because you made it to Kugane. That's true. So the big things, I guess, to talk about, because I was literally listening to the last roundup before we started this one. I think it's very funny that I brought up that it was like, kind of what like sustained hate over an extremely long time does to you. And I was like, yeah, there's a lot of parallels being drawn between Estinian and Nidhogg, because I was really, really trying very hard to say at one point they literally become the same person. I had to like choke that part down, because at that point Heavensward is just beating the metaphor like over your head violently. Like, do you get it? Do you get it? I'm like, I get it. Oh god, it hurts.
Do you understand the cycle of violence?
Do you get it now? And it's actually really good. That's actually not me making fun of it. I actually quite like everything going on with Estinian.
That was a kick-ass boss fight, is what that was.
It has the greatest name for a trial or any boss fight ever. It's called The Final Steps of Faith, which is just fantastic, because it's a callback literally before you enter Ishgard, all the way back in A Realm Reborn. the trial there is called the Steps of Faith because it's set in the same place, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that a lot because obviously, we're going back to where it all started, but also, the literal final steps of fate, because like when you're done with this, you will have essentially utterly dismantled an entire religious system. So, oops. So you are also quite literally taking the final steps of a faith.
You know what I realized finishing Heaven's Word and why Heaven's Word is really, really good?
What's that?
It's because I'm coming off of Arise, which we've talked extensively about how we don't like Arise.
Yeah.
But this applies to every Tales game, where every Tales game ends with you completely dismantling the entire foundation of an entire planet's civilization and course of history. Because that's just what you do in Tales games.
Yeah, that's just how Tales games work, yeah.
And you never get a look at what happens afterward because the game is over.
Right.
But you do the same thing in Heaven's Word to Ishgard, but then you get to see what happens.
Yeah.
Because there's still 3 other expansions to do.
Yeah, and you still have to go back to Ishgard for stuff every now. There's actually a really good quest line after you finish. I think it's after you finish Heaven's Word Hildebrand. You can go talk to a guy in the Jewel Creuset, where the market board is in Ishgard. And there's a guy named Mathia there. He's in an alley, and he will start you on a quest line called the Scholasticate, which is specifically about being essentially a religious studies major after the religion you study was just dismantled brick by brick.
Yeah.
And the kind of fallout between lower class students and highborn students and stuff like that. And it's really good. I'm not done with it because I was really eager to get to Shadowbringers.
Of course.
But it has Brardian from Hildebrand in it. He's there to help you to do investigation shit. So. Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
Good to see that he gets to be in his own little spin-off series.
He gets to be in his own little spin-off series, and he's great there too. And it's good. It's actually kind of interesting writing and fun and charming.
I've said this. I think I said this last time, but legit, not even with a hint of irony. Hildebrand is some of the funniest and best writing I've seen in a JRPG in a long time.
Well, yeah, because comedy writing in video games is almost every time if you try to do comedy writing in a video game, intentional comedy writing where you're trying to be funny, unless you're just really, really good at writing, you will fuck it up.
Mm-hmm. It'll be at the best. It'll be that's funny and cute.
But not at the worst, it is cringe, as the kids say. Hildebrand is actually funny. I'm stunned by it every single time it's funny. I'm like, oh my god, you did it. Hildebrand
has gotten full-on actual laughter out of me.
Oh, tears streaming down my face with some of the visual gags in Hildebrand. They're really good.
Amazing.
It's incredible. This fucking Gary's Mod ass looking motherfucker. And all of his fucked up face bones. I hate him.
I said this when we were playing one day where it's just if they ever make an FF14 anime, they should not do an FF14 anime. What they should do is Hildebrand OVAs.
Yeah, do a Hildebrand OVA for sure. I completely agree. Yeah, because it's great.
But no, the MSQ for Heaven's Word was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Tons of really, really great moments. Great cutscene direction. Battles with really high stakes that felt as chaotic as they should. The Dark Knight quest is really good.
Do you understand now why they let Natsuko Ishikawa write all of Shadowbringers? It's yeah.
Dark Knight is super Kino.
Dark Knight is doing a lot of interesting things, because Natsuko Ishikawa is I am going to make you interact with the game in order to appreciate the story. So it's gameplay and story kind of coming together to do things. And it continues through all of the Dark Knight quest line, and it's also in Shadowbringers as well. Because she just has a lot of really interesting thoughts about heroism and helping people, what kind of person you have to be the warrior of light, right?
It's the kind of thing that, I imagine Nasu like peeking at her answers.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
the parallels between the stuff happening in the Dark Knight and what happens to Shiro Emiya.
I mean, honestly, Natsuko Ishikawa is a fairly young woman from Japan. I think she's our age, maybe a little bit older.
Mm-hmm.
There is a 0% chance she has not interacted with the Fate franchise in some capacity, considering those conversations are kind of happening at the same time. And also just from like a cultural context, you go to a fucking 7-Eleven and there's Gilgamesh on a bag of chips. So, there's definitely shades of that where you have to, where you are aware that what you are doing would exhaust anyone, including somebody who is essentially an unstoppable god killer by the time Stormblood is done. But that would still tire anybody out, and you can still be pushed to kind of your emotional breaking point.
Mm-hmm.
And having to have like a conversation with yourself about why you're still wanting to do, like, are you just doing this because you want to fight stuff? Are you doing this because you actually care? Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that going on.
There's a lot of conversations in Heavensward about you're only doing this because someone told you to.
Yeah, absolutely. You're still not... The protagonist eventually becomes pretty vocal. You actually get a lot of dialogue. I don't know how much the dialogue choices matter, if any, but it still gives you the opportunity, kind of starting toward the tail end of Heavensward and into Stormblood especially.
Mm-hmm.
You get dialogue options for the Warrior of Light.
I can tell you that it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
Because there's a bit where in the early part of the Stormblood where Alphinode's like, hey, we're gonna go do some stuff in Ul'dah or in Alamigo. Do you want to come? I know you're really coming off of the emotional rush of Heavensward. Do you want to like get involved in this right away? And one of your options is, nah, I'm good. And I picked that one because my character was pretty beat after Heavensward.
Yeah.
And Alphinode's like, okay, well, when you change your mind, we'll be over here.
Sure. Fallout 4 rules.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, no, I still think it's interesting that they were finally like, okay, we will give you the ability to, at the very least, characterize your protagonist, which is cool.
Yeah, and in some regards, that's totally fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if the dialogue choices don't mean anything. I heard somebody once describe Final Fantasy XIV as like, if you don't have like an original character that you care about, Final Fantasy XIV is engineered from the ground up to give you one.
Yeah. You don't have a choice but to imprint on your character because it's just like a tabletop RPG character.
Absolutely.
It's from the ground up and there is no preceding like backstory. It's not like not even like New Vegas or Fallout 3 has a character like backstory as blank, as clean slate as this, right?
Yeah, completely nothing. Yeah.
You the game starts and you're like, I guess Skyrim is the best thing because you're on a cart
yeah, you got
into the
Skyrim.
city.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's nothing here. Yeah, your dialogue choices don't really matter, but you can still build a character out of it.
Right.
Because you're not restrained by like a set level of stats. Like you can do any kind of like character build you want.
Right, yeah, exactly.
There's a multitude of classes to pick from.
Which, I mean, I'm glad for it. I'm just glad to actually be able to say at least something every now and then. It's better than not saying anything. And yeah, I just really like Final Fantasy XIV a lot. And everybody who's listening to this is cackling as I say that.
There is one downside to being a completely blank slate character, and it's something I noticed like in late Heavensward, which is you're not allowed to do things in cutscenes.
You are not allowed to do things in cutscenes, no, because they are not, unless they decide to like really go ham with 7.0. They do not want to take into account the multitude of body types that the protagonist can have. You are just not allowed to do shit in cutscenes. It's very funny.
You can, like, it was the bit where you're confronting the Warriors of Darkness, and Thancred reappears.
Right.
And it's like, oh, I'm just standing here.
I'm just standing here, because they don't want to take into account, like, you gotta think about it. They gotta take into account your race, your height, your gender, and the class that you have equipped.
You might be a caster. You don't have a sword that can block an axe.
Yeah, exactly. It's incredible. Don't worry about it.
You're the only thing you can do is draw your weapon and get into your combat stance.
And then they just don't pay that much attention to it in cutscenes. Yeah. And then they're like, all right, duty start. It's like, okay, cool. You get to do things in duties, so it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you still get to fight them because you're doing a fight, but, like, you will never be cool in a cutscene unless you have to walk slowly forward.
And in Heaven's Word defense, walking slowly forward in that one cutscene is probably the coolest thing in any video game ever.
That was pretty fucking cool.
It was pretty fucking rad. So it's okay, actually.
So 14th's going great. I can't wait to get out of Stormblood and into good game again. Even though I am enjoying what happens in Stormblood so far.
Stormblood gets a bad rap. I said it on Twitter, having now finished all of Stormblood. Stormblood is a 7, but it's bookended on either side by, like, a pair of 9s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
not a 9 and a 10.
It's not Stormblood's fault.
If Stormblood had been the first thing you did after A Realm Reborn, it probably would be viewed more favorably.
Yeah, it would have been fine.
But the problem is that you get out of A Realm Reborn, and it just chucks you right into Heaven's Word, which is extremely good. And then afterwards, you have to go back to, like, a place you've never really been to with characters you really don't care about. And you're just like, okay, I guess we can do this. I was way more interested in the dragons and the Ishgardians, but I guess I'm here now with Lise.
Yeah.
White woman spotted.
Yeah, that sucked. I'm not a fan of that.
It is an extremely bizarre decision to me to just, like, wholesale replace a character and, like, be like, no, but they're the same character. It's like, no, they're not.
No,
You should have just also killed Ida. And then have her sister show up out of the blue. This is, like, it is way more bizarre to do it this way.
You know what it is? I don't know if this is, like, in the original, you know how, like, no, it's not Voltron, it's the other show that's, like, 3 anime fused together, but Voltron was, like, its own thing in Japan, right?
Robotech.
Yeah, Robotech. But you know how, like, the original what Voltron was before it got dubbed into English? Mm-hmm. They had a bit where the Shiro, the Black Lion's pilot, died and got replaced by his twin brother.
Yeah.
Who just acts exactly the same.
Who's the exact same, yeah.
Yeah. So in English, they just didn't kill him.
I didn't know that. That's amazing.
He got injured, but he's okay now because it's still him.
Right.
That's exactly what happened.
It's just such a strange choice. It's an extremely bizarre choice to take a character and turn them into a completely different character. It's like, what if we just leached out? Like, I know that Ida is not the most interesting or, like, complex of the Scions.
Yeah, she was a second stringer. Like, her and Papalimo are second stringers.
They were second stringers, and God love them. You know, someday Papalimo is going to come back from the store. It's fine. But, like, you know, she was still fun because she was your spunky punch girl who was just kind of a dum-dum, and you're like, how did she end up a Scion? Because, you know, those marks on their necks means they graduated college. And it's like...
She got a scholarship.
She got a scholarship. So it's just like, how did you do that? You know? And I liked her. And then they replaced her wholesale with lease. And I'm just like, okay.
It's like you said, white woman spotted.
White woman's extremely,
Yeah.
very, very awkward once you notice that every single other NPC in Alamigo is distinctly dark-skinned. Like,
yeah,
Monago and Conrad and pretty much everybody inside Rhalger's Reach who is a member of the Alamegan Resistance is, like, dark-skinned. And it's like, oh, well, somebody watched a little too much Game of Thrones, didn't you guys? So, you know, it's fine. But you know what Stormblood has? It's got Xenos. So who cares? It's a 10 out of 10.
It does have tall Virgil.
It's got my tall war crimes boyfriend, so who cares? It's the best game ever made.
Virgil 1 is a cool fight also. I'm just to throw that out there.
Virgil 1 is a cool fight.
When you see how much damage your attacks do, and you go, we're doing this now.
Oh no! Yeah, it's great.
I do love a good unwinnable fight in RPGs. I think it's fun.
I think it's fun. I think people who get mad about it need to grow up.
Yeah.
Because it's just fun. You know, it gives you something to strive towards. And they do earn it by giving Xenos like a shit zillion HP. So it's not like you can't whittle that down, folks.
Yeah,
There's not enough time in the duty.
Yeah.
So it was fun. I obviously, if you follow me on Twitter, you've seen me losing my goddamn mind over this character. So that's all that needs to be said. Follow me on Twitter, radioinactivity.
Yeah, and I'll learn more about him as the weeks progress and I get further into Stormblood.
Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff in Stormblood. There's a lot of, like, interesting things in Stormblood. It just kind of doesn't quite stick the landing. It has, again, the unfortunate problem of being the one that comes after Heavensward and before Shadowbringers, which is incredible. Whoops.
The only thing I don't like about it so far is that once again Y'shtola got sidelined.
Y'shtola, that's fine. She's a major character in Shadowbringers, so just sit tight, buddy. I know.
Like,
it's coming.
No. I'm goodbye. I'm going into the back rooms for half of Heavensward. Now I'm back, and now we're ready for action. Oh no!
Oh no! Oh no! Xeno, it's not like this. Yeah, it's good.
So yeah, but that's what I've been doing. I have done some other stuff.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, I did find time for other stuff. Melissa and I watched two things. We watched Odd Taxi.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a very good noir anime on Crunchyroll. It's a Talking Animals noir series about a taxi driver and the people that he happens to get wrapped up in. Like an underground idol group, some bits with the mafia, like a low-ranking Yakuza. And just like how their stories intersect. Right.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people on Twitter raving about it, and I actually do want to make time to watch it at some point, because a lot of people were saying it was like the best anime of last year.
It's one of those anime, and I think this is true of like a lot of noir stories in general. It's where you're watching like, all right, this is pretty good, this is pretty interesting, and then the last 15 minutes blow your mind,
right,
and completely recontextualize everything about the series. You're like, this is a masterpiece,
right? Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's like 15 episodes, 14.
Oh yeah.
We watched it all the day before the dub came out, and we didn't realize the dub was coming out that day. But it's totally fine. Like it still works either way.
Right.
So yeah, that's highly recommended for that one. If you're a fan of talking animals and noir, Odd Taxi is for you. On the complete flip side of that, we watched the Cuphead show.
Oh, I didn't even know it was like fully out yet. Okay.
Yeah, Netflix put it out a couple weeks ago, or like 2 weeks ago, I think.
Okay.
It's good.
Okay. Yeah.
It's Looney Tunes. It's just they're 15-minute episodes, and it's just a Looney Tunes short. You know.
Right. Absolutely.
Cuphead and Mugman get in a situation, and slapstick happens, and then it ends.
Never put me in a situation.
There is like, I know it's a Netflix series,
Mm-hmm.
There is no overarching plot.
I can't believe it.
There are no moments of melodrama. There are no grand high stakes.
Mm-hmm.
It's Looney Tunes.
Good for them. They did it. They figured out the formula, and that's all anybody wants.
Like, I saw people like getting upset that it's not like some grand overarching adventure.
What? It's like, Cuphead. What are you talking about?
It's a kids cartoon,
it's
It's based on Fleischer animation.
Yeah, and it's also based off of Cuphead, which is literally just like there is no actual overarching plot of Cuphead beyond like get your soul back.
Yeah,
you know, and otherwise it's just here's a bunch of disparate boss battles. Go have fun.
They do a lot of really cool stuff, though.
Oh, really?
There's film grain and scratches all throughout the episodes to give it that 30s vibe.
Mm-hmm.
They'll do long, like, panning shots, and they will do the Fleischer, hey, we built a 3D diorama, and we animated the cells over that diorama.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like, just super cool.
That's cool.
It does a fantastic job of blending, like, it feels a lot like if you've watched the Paul Rudish Disney shorts, or, like, the new Looney Tunes shorts from HBO.
Yeah.
It's that blending of like modern slapstick humor, but with old style, like classic style visuals, and it works really well. I really, really enjoy it. I'm glad it got a season 2.
Good for them. Okay, good. I didn't know they had already confirmed season 2. Makes sense because Cuphead is huge. Yeah,
it's like you watch this show and like, it's not gonna blow an adult's mind, but kids are gonna adore it.
Sure, you know, it's for bizarrely Cuphead is a children's franchise now for some reason because kids are really good at video games these days. I
guess. So like kids are gonna adore every bit of this. Genuine, like very genuinely funny in a lot of places too.
Good.
They do great work with that. The only other thing I did is thanks to playing tons of FF14, I got the urge to go back and reread all of The Order of the Stick.
Okay.
Which I'm ongoing reading it, but that comic started in I think 2004. So it's you know, you every so often you want to go back and remind yourself what it used to be like.
Right.
2003, sorry, it came out in 2003.
Wow. That is
it's almost 20 years old.
Yeah, that is a very long-running webcomic. Okay.
And so I went and I actually ordered the first couple of books, too.
Oh, okay.
The first 100 issues of Order of the Stick are not good. Like
you don't say.
They're just straight up not entertaining anymore.
Right.
When like, there's a distinct point in the series where it became good.
Okay.
Like, you can find the exact, like, strip where it's like, okay, now the comic is good.
Mm-hmm.
And as it progresses and builds up, like, I'm just amazed at how one man can world build like this.
Right.
Like, to the extent that he has, and design, like, all these archetypes and characters and like, societies and whole cities get their own personality. It's incredible. And every so often you just get the urge to read about a bunch of dum-dums going on an adventure, and then it turns into a whole world-saving quest.
You know, that's fine. Yeah. Again, we have been playing a lot of Final Fantasy XIV, so I understand.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of dumb idiots hanging out, saving the day, and running dungeons.
He has without a doubt the best use of meta in any fourth wall breaking self-parody comic of all time. He weaponizes it. There are characters who can tap into the narrative structure of stories and use that to their advantage.
Okay.
Like there's a bit late in the comic where the villain team is hot on their tail, and the party leader asks the bard, like they're trying to figure out what to do. Like, do they run and hide? Do they stand and fight? And the leader asks the bard, "Is this where we have final battles? Like, is this location where the final battle takes place?" And he's like,
right.
in the middle of some valley? No, I don't think so. We haven't really wrapped up a lot of storylines yet. So, and it's not enough to do like in post epilogue. So, no, I don't think we're good to fight yet.
So we run, yeah.
And so he's like, all right, good enough. We're out of here.
That's awesome.
And the best use of it dramatically is when a villain gives his whole spiel about like one of the villains who is ruling a city, like, you know, from behind the scenes kind of thing. Like he's controlling the empire. He's talking to the bard about it, and he's like, what do you think a villain, like the evil emperor's last thought is when he gets killed? And the bard's like, you know, that good triumphs over evil. He says, no, for the last 20 years, he got to live like a king.
Yeah. He got away with it.
The last 15 seconds sucked, but everything before that was great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, oh, damn, I could have gone another 10 years.
Yeah. So yeah, like anyone who hasn't and wants like a good fantasy like story that's like legitimately good, Order of the Stick. Read it. It's been around forever, and it's close to wrapping up.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Gonna try and make it 20 years.
Yeah, I think he's gonna blow past 20 years, honestly.
Oh, okay.
Because every issue takes so long to come out now because it's gotten so complex.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets it like into early 2024.
Okay.
But yeah, that's all I did.
Cool. So then I guess that means it's time for the news?
It's time for the news. This is a busy news cycle, and I kept trying to find things that didn't bum me out.
Oh no, here we go. All right, hit me, Ben.
So first, Uncharted director reveals he's working on a Jak and Daxter movie. I don't know about this one.
Can't wait for 45% on Rotten Tomatoes. You know?
I don't...
Yeah. I would just like another game.
Here is, well... So the quote comes, or the article comes from Ruben Fleischer, the director of the Uncharted movie. Says, quote, I'm actually working on a Jak and Daxter version of that for PlayStation, which I think would be really cool to bring to life. So I don't know what that means. It doesn't say movie. I don't know if he's working on like a project. I don't know.
That sounds like he's like still in the pitching phase,
Yeah.
Really. Like he's just making a pit. Like I'm working on that can mean so many things, you know?
And then Tom Holland says, quote, I would like to make a Jak and Daxter movie and I would play Jak. I would make it an A24 so it would be really weird and like dark. I would like a really weird live action version of Jak and Daxter.
No, I do not want that. I would much prefer like a cool, and I mean if anything I would just prefer like a cool animated show on Netflix. Like I think that actually would be ideal, but you know.
I mean you could very easily break Jak and Daxter into a 3-season Netflix series and just cover each game.
Each game would fit extremely easily into a season of Netflix.
Yeah.
Although truly, like we've said, all anybody really wants is Jak 4.
Yeah. We just want that.
Insomniac is they're still making platformers too, Naughty Dog. You can make a platformer alongside your edgy serious like, Oscar bait game.
You know, Insomniac is doing Ratchet and Spider-Man and Wolverine. You can like their platformers can exist again.
Please, can I just get another Jak game?
So I don't need a movie of Jak.
No, the fun part of Jak is riding around on hover bikes.
Yeah.
So I would like to have that again instead. Thank you.
Futurama revived at Hulu again.
But this time without John DiMaggio.
Without John DiMaggio.
So I don't care. We're bringing it back again.
Really? You're gonna do it without John DiMaggio?
You're gonna do it without Bender? Really?
you're gonna try to recast a John DiMaggio. He has one of the most distinctive voices in animation like history.
Yeah,
you're gonna try to recast him?
No, you can't do that. It's not going to happen. You can't find a sound alike. Just pay John DiMaggio the money he's at. You're Hulu. You have the money to pay these voice actors. Like, apparently, it's because everybody is getting paid dog shit for a Futurama reboot, which
the thing is, don't pay John DiMaggio. Pay everyone more.
Pay
money.
Everybody. Yeah, exactly. Give everybody a raise.
Are you seriously going to look at the audience for Futurama and say, no, Billy West, Maurice LaMarche, and Phil LaMarr don't deserve to make tons of money?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, are you kidding me?
Like, no, I'm sorry. You actually have to have those characters being voiced by those people for it to work. Those voices are so intrinsic to the characters that you can't you can't cast anybody else.
Also, it didn't need to come back in the first place.
It also doesn't need to come back in the first place. Futurama ended in a perfectly fine place after it was all said and done.
Futurama has had more series finales than like any series I can think of.
I know.
It had
we don't need another one.
The original Fox ending. It had the ending,
which was good.
Which had the ending from the movies that came out like a few years later. It had the Comedy Central ending. It doesn't need to come back.
It does. You don't need to do it again. Like, and the funny thing is that every one of the endings that we've gotten are perfectly good endings. Yeah. Like, you did it. You ended your show correctly 3 times in a row. Game of Thrones couldn't even do that once. Like, you did it. You don't need to bring it back. Stop.
So, when it came down the pipeline that John DiMaggio wasn't coming back, that's when you go, all right, shut it down.
Yeah, shut it down. Hopefully, who knows? God willing, they won't shamble forward, but we'll see.
I mean, if they do, it's just going to die immediately.
Oh, yeah.
No one's going to watch it.
Nobody cares. Yeah, exactly.
Good news. Some details from the unannounced RE4 remake.
Oh yeah, okay.
There's some cool shit which I was hoping they were gonna do. They talked about how the first like major set piece, the village, is gonna be at night. This time. So like they're gonna do like an actual like time lapse thing, like night and day, like as the story progresses, like
sure.
It'll be like a 24-hour incident here.
Right.
They're showing they revealed that they're going to use a lot of prototype content.
Okay.
Like like the original like Blue demo and like the Hookman demo.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna bring some of that content back.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Ada's stuff is gonna be bigger.
Good.
Like her extra campaigns are going to be bigger and more fleshed out. And remember when DC Douglas leaked a bunch of stuff?
It turns out it wasn't actually for RE4 at all. It's for some canceled Resident Evil project.
Yeah, and I wonder if it got canceled because DC Douglas broke NDA.
It could have been. That's sometimes what happens.
Yeah.
Oopsie doodle.
But yeah, cool. That's what they should do with RE4 remake is bring back all the cut content.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna do it, don't cut things out of it the way you cut things out of Resident Evil 3 make.
Yeah.
Make it bigger.
Do the opposite.
Make it good and put a lot of new things in it instead. Because otherwise, what everybody will do is instead go play that Resident Evil fan remaster that just came out after 10 years of work. Because that is a significantly better Resident Evil 4 experience.
I do think the funny thing is people who are mad about this, it's like, RE4 is never going away.
Oh, no.
You can go play RE4 again.
Yeah, the thing is that if it was like a harder to find game and they were remaking it instead of just putting it out in like with like a good remaster, that would be different. But this is this is Resident Evil 4.
It's Resident Evil 4.
It's one of the most ported video games ever made. It's okay.
You can play it on a GameCom.
You can play it on a GameCom. You can play it on a Zeebo. I wouldn't be surprised if they eventually somehow put it out on iOS. It might already be out on iOS.
It might be. Who knows?
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, so it's fine. If you really just want to play the original Resident Evil 4, again, that Resident Evil 4 fan retexture project finally came out after 10 years, and it looks incredible. So go play that instead, especially because Resident Evil 4 on PC is like $5.
Yeah.
So just go do that. You will not suffer, I promise.
More good news. Intellivision asks fans for more money, reveals massive Amigo debts.
This ain't coming out.
Remember when we talked about last time how we were like, the new CEO of Amico was just walking into an empty office building?
Yeah.
Like, it's just a bunch of, like, cubicles with no computers attached to them.
Uh-huh.
We were right.
Yeah. This is just trying to, like... They are trying to steer the ship out into the deep water so it can sink without, like, fucking up too many things. Yeah, no, they are, the funding request, they are... Because they had to submit financials because they are going through another round of funding, that meant that all of their money problems had to be made public, right? If you submit to trying to acquire funding through investors, you have to make everything public. So this is how we found out. They are $8 million in the hole. $8
million.
That's a million.
There's no way in hell
no.
they were ever going to make this money back with this console. No. There's no way they could make $8 million.
Yeah, especially because this console has, like, a lot of, like, dog shit gimmicky controllers and stuff like that. For them to make this back, they would have to sell this thing at, like, a massive premium. And that's not gonna happen. So, no, it's never coming out. It's never happening. I'm not surprised. So.
This is a very lengthy article that breaks down all of it. But that's really it. It's exactly what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was Tommy Tallarico ran and left the ship to sink without him on board.
Yeah, exactly. He's still president, but he isn't CEO. Is the way or he has like a controlling stake in the company or something like that.
Yeah, like we said, he's captaining it from the lifeboat.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. So, it's fine.
So, yeah, this is never coming out. It never was going to come out in the first place, but this is just like, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Next, round up everything announced in the February 2022 Nintendo Direct.
Oh, right. We had a Direct.
Lots of cool stuff, actually, got shown off here. This was a great Direct if you're 30.
Yay! It was a good Direct for us. We'll kick because it kicked off with probably the thing that's making me the most insane, which is: are you really putting the good route for Fire Emblem Three Houses in a Muso game that's gonna run at 15 frames a second?
Boy, that Switch Pro better come out soon.
Please, God, I'm wilting.
I could get through Hyrule Warriors with that. So Dave and I tried to play Hyrule Warriors co-op. It was impossible.
Oh, I'm sure. It was a slideshow.
Yeah, it was a nightmare trying to run that with two people. Like split screen on that. But, I know that that Strikers ran well on Switch. Hyrule Warriors, I think the Age of Calamity... No, Age of Calamity did not run well. The original Hyrule Warriors did run well.
Oh, okay. Well, I think the people making Three Hopes also made Age of Calamity, so...
I really would like a Switch Pro.
I would really, really like a Switch Pro now, thank you.
What I do like, though, is this trend of...
I know.
Here's our legitimate sequel, it's a Muso.
It's a Muso game. We don't have to put any effort into it. We pay somebody else to make the video game, and then we just put all of our writing in it.
We talked about like when we did the Three Houses episode, like we want the idea of the golden ending. What would that look like? And here it is. It's a whole separate thing.
Honestly, though, like unlike Strikers, because Strikers being the thing about Muso games is that the fun of Muso games is that it has 800 playable characters and they all have different looking supers, right?
Yeah.
That's why Pirate Warriors is so good.
Right.
Is because it has 50 something playable characters and they all have different and cool looking special attacks. And it was weird that Persona 5 got a Muso because it's only the main cast of Persona 5. They didn't even do the thing everybody was hoping they would do, which was cross it over with other Persona games to give us more playable characters. They didn't do that. So you just have the Phantom Thieves, and it's like, that's a strange decision for a Muso game, but okay. But Three Houses is perfect for a Muso game.
Yeah!
Because that game has 100 zillion characters, and I want to see all of them fight things.
Yes.
So you did it. You finally picked the correct one.
So here's the thing, and they need to thread this needle perfectly. You can either have like 12 characters, you can have half of the characters, or you can have all of them.
Yeah, that's it.
If you cut out a few of the playable characters,
there will be riots.
Yeah.
Because kind of like Pokemon, somebody is somebody. Like any character in Three Houses is somebody's favorite character in Three Houses.
right?
Like,
And
somebody stands Ignatz really hard for some godforsaken reason.
With how volatile the Three Houses fandom is,
Psychopaths.
with each house, people are gonna lose their goddamn minds if Ash isn't playable.
Oh, yeah. Like, it's gonna be a huge mess. So either curate like super hard and have
like do the lords, their retainers, Byleth, and like 2 each from every other house.
Right. The most popular ones from the other houses, and then that makes sense.
Yeah. Or you can do exactly half the cast. Mm-hmm. Or it has to be everyone.
Or it has to be everyone. That's it. You have no choice.
And
if you do like 30 out of a cast of 42, then those cut 12 are really going to stand out, you know?
Yeah, it's their absence is going to be noticed.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like if you were to get like a group shot of like a JRPG party, like if you were to get like a group shot of like the Abyss cast, and Natalia isn't there, you're just like, wait, what?
Hold on, because they would cut Lawrence, and I would be fine with that. But there are freaks on Twitter who would have 700,000 signatures on a change.org petition in 6 hours. And they would not be happy. So you have to do everybody, frankly. And
God forbid if the cut characters are weighted in any direction.
Oh yeah, like if it's more characters cut from Black Eagle.
Yeah.
Every person who really stands the Black Eagles are psychos. So, that would be catastrophic.
That would, fires would break out. Total anarchy.
Nintendo HQ burns down overnight. Cats and dogs living together, Don't do that. Spare yourself the drama. Just make them all playable.
Yeah, I mean, it does look like this is just gonna be the golden route that everyone clamored for. So here's
all I want. It's all I wanted, and you put it in a Muso game. Why would you do that?
Well, you know what the good sign is, Sarah? You don't have to spend 70 hours playing it now. It's a Muso game.
That's actually a really good point. Thank God, that game's so long.
Speaking of Fire Emblem, Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp got another trailer. Yay, Advance Wars.
Yay.
No Man's Sky is coming to Switch. That's gonna run like dog shit.
Yeah. Speaking of slideshows. Can't wait for 12 frames a second.
but shut up, who fucking cares? Mario motherfucking Strikers Battle League.
Yeah, it looked pretty cool.
I saw some like Nintendo like enthusiast on Twitter was like, here's my direct prediction. It was the Switch click, trailer premiere quick click, and then the Strikers Charged intro. And then like after the thing came out, he's like, I fucking called it.
I did it! I nailed it!
Oh, I love Strikers. This is gonna be great.
It looks great. It looks like fun. Strikers is cool. It has extremely good aesthetics.
Yes.
And character design sensibilities, and it just looks like fun. It's battle soccer. What do you want?
But where is my girl?
Oh, where is Daisy?
Where is Daisy?
How you can't cut Daisy?
How do you cut How does Rosalina get a slot right away and Daisy doesn't?
Daisy is a character designed for battle soccer because Daisy loves violence.
Yeah,
Put
Daisy
her in
It.
Strikers.
I'm hoping they're just gonna like review, because there's only, I think there's 8 characters, and it's like, or 8 captains, and it's like it's a 4-on-4 soccer thing. So
right,
you can only have so many. Like you need to add way more to this.
Please.
So I'm hoping it's just like, here's the ones we're showing off now, and the real roster will come out later.
Yeah.
Splatoon 3's co-op mode got shown off. Salmon Run next wave. Front Mission 1 and 2 remake.
Cool. Very cool. Looks great.
Super excited for that. That's a surprise.
Ben.
What?
I don't care. Get to the important one.
Oh, you mean Disney Speedstorm? I'm
gonna kill you with my bare hands. Sleep with the lights on tonight, motherfucker.
Lots of stuff. Yeah. So speaking of, for 30-year-olds, motherfucking Chrono Cross.
Motherfucking Chrono Cross. Let's go.
What's the subtitle? Radical Dreamers Edition, because it comes with Radical Dreamers.
Literally the first time it's ever been officially... Now, it has received fan translation,
yes.
Of course. It's been,
a
million years. It did get fan translation, but this is the first time it's ever been officially localized. And it isn't... they showed like a couple shots from the VN in the trailer, and somebody compared them to the fan translation. It's a completely new translation. Like, it's not pulling from the fan translation at all.
So... awesome. It's Chrono Cross is getting the Final Fantasy, like classic Final Fantasy treatment. They clean up the visuals as much as they could. I think it's all machine learning. And
it looks like dog shit, but you can turn it off, so it doesn't matter. Just
so because like the models look great,
right?
But the pre-rendered backgrounds look bad. So
the pre-rendered backgrounds are utterly destroyed by whatever wretched, waifu 5X filter they run it through. So
turn those off, turn the models on. It's got
don't turn on the new character portraits though, because I think they look really bad. I like the old ugly ones instead.
It's got the speed up, the fast forward. It's got the invincibility if you just want to grind or trying to get through a dungeon and you don't want to deal with things.
Chrono Cross, you don't have to grind. That's the interesting thing about Chrono Cross is that party levels are shared. But it also lets you turn off encounters on the field. That's very interesting because Chrono Cross doesn't have random encounters the way other PlayStation era.
It's all on the field.
Like all the enemies are on the field. So instead, it just means you can just walk right through them, which I think is great.
Yeah,
because the respawn rate for on-field enemies in Chrono Cross is extremely high, and that kind of sucks if you have to do a lot of running back and forth. So I actually appreciate that. Yeah.
For anyone who's going to listen to this and has not played Chrono Cross, when you're given the option to go say if you want to rescue Kid, don't
do it, because I know that sounds counterintuitive, but you get one of the best characters in the game by not saving Kid. So don't save Kid when she gets poisoned. I'm sorry. It's going to feel wrong because she's your girlfriend. Don't do it.
Don't worry. She gets saved anyway. But just don't do it yourself.
Don't do it yourself. Go do something else. I promise you're going to feel bad, but you want you want Glenn.
You
want Glenn. He's so good. I love him. He's my boy. Eventually you will have a party of the problem is that you will eventually have a party of Glenn, Kid, and Surge, and you will use no one else.
It's cool to find all the other characters, but you don't need them.
You don't need them. You have those 3. You can also sub out Glenn for Guile, who is literally just Magus from Chrono Trigger. I don't know have I ever told you that?
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, you knew that. They literally, he was originally literally going to be Magus, and they were like, oh fuck, we only have 3 people. If we make him canonically Magus, nobody will ever use anyone else. Yeah. So they had to cut that, but there's still like implications left in the story, which is extremely funny, because that means that Chrono Trigger Magus got a tan at some point, which like good for him, I guess.
Well, I mean, like he did spend all of his like adolescence in a spooky castle. So
true. So
the first time he sees the sun is after the events of Chrono Trigger.
He finally just instantly tans the second he steps in the sunlight.
You've seen what 600 AD looks like. It's always foggy.
That's true. Good point. Everybody is pale.
So yeah, fucking finally. I've said over and over, I'm going to finish Chrono Cross when they make a remaster edition like this.
Well, here you go.
And they did it, so I'm gonna get it, and I'm gonna play it. It's gonna be great.
It's $20 too, which is even better. Yeah. It's a steal for, I think, a great video game. Now again, if you're a big Chrono Trigger fan, you might not like Chrono Cross. However, I don't care. You should play it anyways because it's good. As its own thing, it's good. Play it. I love it. Please, I want a third game. I'm like imagining a future where this sells extremely well and they finally make a third Chrono game. It's never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen because we live in hell and we're all gonna die before that happens, but I can dream.
But they later in the direct, they opened a door to us.
They did.
So let's get through some more stuff. Okay. Kirby and the Forgotten Land introduces a horrible new thing.
I hate it. I hate it so. The moment I saw it, I hated it.
There are some mouthful modes that I think look funny, like Light Bulb Kirby.
Yeah, cute.
I think that's cute. Car Kirby terrifies me.
Car Kirby is wretched. The what was it? The lift Kirby?
Yeah.
The thing that lifts. The pneumatic lift Kirby did not like that. I did not like it. I do not like it at all, Nintendo. I think it's an abomination.
There's like an inner tube Kirby which looks cute, but it's split. Vending machine Kirby is hilarious.
Yeah, that is funny. Yeah, because he just kind of wobbles around. That's cute. But I don't like it. It makes me think of I'm Sorry, John. You know?
Yeah.
The Garfield comic. Yeah. I'm Sorry, John.
Or what's it? Dogscape.
Yeah. I don't like it.
I do like village building with Waddle Dees.
That's cute.
That's cute. This game is like 70% cute and 30% nightmare inducing.
A horror, yes.
So it's a Kirby game.
Yes.
They're instead of end loading the horror at the end, they're interspersing it throughout the series. Yeah,
that's true. Good point.
For us 30-year-olds, Klonoa Fantasy Reverie, Klonoa 1 and 2 ports.
I've never played a Klonoa game. I literally only know it from cameo costumes in Tales games.
Same here, but people got excited about it, so sure. I'm happy they're happy.
Good for them.
Portal 1 and 2 coming to Switch.
What year is it?
I know, right?
What year is it? Are we really just scraping the bottom of the barrel for ports now? What's going on?
I feel like this was probably the most afterthought port.
It's bizarre to me.
They're like, Nintendo is just like kicking around games. They're like, oh yeah, Portal. Hey Valve, can we throw this on the Switch? And Valve's like, yeah,
sure. And it's just like,
all right,
okay, I guess, but
it's not like it's Portal's anniversary or anything. Like,
it is extremely weird in 2022 to hear a game trailer make the cake is a lie jokes, and I was just like clutching my chest. I was having an aneurysm.
You have to like look around, like, what year is it?
it's the Harvey Birdman meme where I'm like desperately checking the calendar. Like, oh God, I didn't go back to 2007, did I? I don't want to be in college again. You know?
And then the real shocker, fucking Live Alive remake.
Live Alive is wacky to me.
That's insane.
Live Alive is a game that has never seen a release in the United States, but is extremely influential. Kind of the way that Moon is. Like, Moon is a big influence on stuff like Earthbound.
Yeah.
No, I think Moon came out.
It's the other way around, I think.
Yeah. But Moon was a big influence on Undertale and other kind of indie RPG titles. It never got an official translation, but, fan translations and fan guides and stuff were kicking around for years. And the same thing is with Live Alive?
It's Live Alive, according to the direct, at least, I think.
Okay. So Live Alive is like it's a story set across multiple time periods and stuff, and it also is extremely influential. Toby Fox, that it's an influential game when Toby Fox actually says something on Twitter about it.
Yeah, like
where he named Megalovania after a track in Live Alive called Megalomania.
So cool. It looks great. I love the 3D 2D art style.
Yeah,
I'm a huge sucker for it.
It looks great. I'm glad it's getting like a real proper glow up treatment.
Yeah.
Like, I think it looks really nice. So I'm very, very interested when that one comes out.
Now do it for Chrono Trigger.
Now do it for Chrono Trigger, and then we could have Chrono Cross and Chrono Trigger just like right there, and then they could sell. And then they could sell like a couple million copies a piece because we don't live in hell. And then Square Enix will renew the trademark on Chrono Break, and they'll make Chrono Break, Ben. They can make Chrono Break, right?
They'll finally do it.
That could happen, right, Ben?
It could totally happen. Maybe one day. Maybe we'll actually get to play Chrono Break.
No, they let that copyright expire last year, so it doesn't exist. It's never going to exist. It's dead forever.
What else? Nintendo Switch Sports. Don't worry, the Mii's are in it. They just didn't show them.
Oh, okay. Thank God.
So false alarm.
Sure.
Then just a bunch of stuff we already knew about. Triangle Strategy, Cuphead, Delicious Last Course. Metroid Dread is getting Samus Must Die.
Good for them.
What excites me about the idea of Samus Must Die is speedruns. Because damage boosting is such a huge part of like Metroid runs in general. How do you do that when you can't? Like, what does that do to routing?
Because you cannot take a single hit.
Yeah.
So, can't wait for the blindfolded Metroid Dread Samus Must Die speedrun in 2023.
They also introduced so it's Samus Must Die and Journalist mode.
Oh, okay.
Because they introduced Super Baby Easy mode too.
Well, that's fine.
Earthbound Beginnings are on Switch Online.
You've never seen a chat more like apprehensive than the Gorge chat, where we're all just going, "Are they gonna do it? Are they gonna do it? They're not gonna do it."
Mother 3? No, they're never gonna do Mother 3.
Just play the fan translation, people. I saw a lot of people like really mad about it on Twitter again. Stop getting mad about Mother 3. You can
translation. It's good.
It's good. It exists. It's free. Just do that. It's literally anybody can run those emulators now. Just do it.
Mario Kart 8 adds Mario Kart 9 as DLC.
Yeah. 48 new tracks.
That is just another Mario Kart.
You just added another Mario Kart. We don't need Mario Kart 9. I think even Nintendo was like, you know what? No, we already have like complete global saturation with Mario Kart 8. We might as well just give them a bunch of DLC and sell that shit instead, and then we don't have to spend resources on making a new one.
Yeah.
Ostensibly, because maybe they're making 9 for this Switch 2/Switch Pro that everybody keeps saying is going to happen.
Yeah, I'm betting 9 is in the wings for the next console.
Yeah, it's going to be a launch title, and they'll bundle it with whichever the Switch 2 or whatever happens, they'll bundle that and you'll be able to buy it for $400.
48 tracks for $20 is insane.
It's a lot. Yeah, I thought it was gonna be $20 per pass. No, that's for all of them.
48 goddamn tracks.
They just added a whole new game to your game for $20.
So cool. Mario Kart 8 is really good, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then finally, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, now with drip.
Now with drip. It looks good. I mean, I don't know if I'll ever play 2 because I don't like any of those character designs or really any of those characters or any of that voice acting. But this one looks good, so who knows?
And people were talking about how like it is funny how Nintendo being cheap led to Xenoblade Chronicles having a full-on different identity. Mm-hmm. Because they did not hire American voice actors, they hired European voice actors.
Right.
And that just became the franchise's thing.
Yeah,
and they're all British.
And they're very British. We're not talking because like everybody in Final Fantasy 14 is also British, but like it's a very different quality of voice acting going on between those two games. Very interesting.
Right. Yeah. There's a bit more there's a bit more
dignity.
14 hires like stage actors, right? Like they do the 12 thing where they
14 has like TV actors and stuff. I was saying that 14 has Joe Dempsey in it from Game of Thrones. That's Gendry from
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. There's cool. Yeah, so they have like TV actors and stuff in there. So also stage actors and things like that, like 12.
Yeah, and Xenoblade is just we hired English voice actors.
we hired a bunch of the lads from down the street to do the voice acting, and it's like, okay, sure.
But yeah, it looks cool. I need to get back to Chronicles 1. I really enjoyed it, but I'm probably not going to play 2 because I don't like any of those character designs.
Yeah, sorry.
And just so you don't think we're getting too cozy with Nintendo, Nintendo thanks feds for sending Hacker to prison for 3 years.
Yeah, sorry. I know a lot of people were saying that this is the guy who was selling hacks and how some of those hacks, like, bricked their machines.
He was selling ransomware.
But here's the thing. He had already been judged to have to pay Nintendo $10 million for the rest of his life.
He shouldn't have to go to jail for 3 years for this.
You don't have to send him to federal prison for 3 years for this. Like, even if he was bricking people's fucking Switches or DSs, like, you are cartoonishly out of touch and way too vindictive if you think some dork should spend 3 years in federal lockup for this.
He wasn't running a criminal empire.
Yeah, he's just kind of an asshole. And again, he has to pay Nintendo $10 million. He will be paying that off for the rest of his life. That's punitive enough. Frankly, it's too much money.
That's justified to me, is paying them $10 million because he's never going to pay it off, so he's going to be paying forever.
Right.
So that would be fine.
But, like, also sending him, to the feds? No.
Yeah, no.
No. And then being ghoulish enough to thank them publicly?
What are you?
Is also vile.
Like, you fucking, like, Melvins?
Yeah, extreme Melvin behavior. Don't be a cop, folks.
Yeah.
Don't ever be like, no, I guess it's okay that Nintendo was cool with some guys. Like, I saw people I know on Twitter being like, I guess it's okay that Nintendo sent this guy to the feds for 3 years. And it's like, are you a cop? Are you a child? Grow up. Like, no, it's not that big of a deal. He didn't hit somebody with his car. He
wasn't pulling hits on people over Nintendo.
He wasn't bricking, like, hospital computers.
Yeah.
He was bricking somebody's fucking DS or 3DS or Switch. Like, grow up. It's not that big of a deal.
Unless we find out like a month from now, it's like, oh yeah, he also killed some guys.
If he also killed some,
okay, never mind.
It's like, okay, but like, don't be a narc.
Yeah.
Don't be like, yeah, it's super cool that this guy who had an utterly, essentially non-violent crime had to be prosecuted by, again, the federal government.
Nintendo could have actually come out looking like the good guys if they had just fined him and been like, the modding community is like, oh no, we all hate this guy.
Yeah, but then you sent him to prison?
Yeah.
Yeah, not to jail.
Not to jail, to prison, yeah.
To prison. There is a difference.
There is a difference, yes.
They didn't send him to jail. They sent him to prison, which is even more horrific.
Yeah.
3 years in jail is also different from 3 years in prison. So, no, this is wretched. And if you even like remotely were like, I guess it's okay because he made little Bobby Sue's Switch not work anymore, then I guess that's fine. Grow up.
Yeah.
Get some perspective. Grow up. Go outside, touch some grass. So,
Also, Nintendo is closing the 3DS and Wii U eShops and has no plans to offer classic content in other ways.
You can always pirate Nintendo video games. It's always morally correct. It's fine. This
is an interesting thing because we had the same thing when Sony was going to shut down the PS3, like PS3's online store. And it's like, what is the time limit, right?
Yeah, like, it's very short.
We can't reasonably expect any company to keep their online store open for outdated consoles, right? I
can. I think you should just move all of that software onto emulation and put it on your current console.
Well, yeah, they obviously can do that.
They can and should do that because otherwise, you just can't buy. You can't buy Phoenix Wright 5 and 6 anymore, unless you spend. Because it literally never got a physical release.
No, it's on phones.
But still, you can't buy it on, like, for the DS. Like, so you can still buy it on phones, but, like, you've just massively cut down the amount of people who can access it, Like, it's still not a great, because it literally never got a physical release,
Yeah, not in America, no.
There's the way you play a shit ton of Metroid games is now vanishing forever. And there's all kinds of just weird, rare games that were put out on the 3. Like, the Wii U, nobody cares that, like, the Wii U's eShop is shutting down. I'm sure I guess I shouldn't say that. You should care, because there probably are still, like, a bunch of weird and like, indie games that are going to vanish forever because they didn't get Switch ports. All of, like, the major Wii U titles have received ports, but I'm sure there's a lot of strange, quirky shit that came out for that console that will never see the light of day. But the bigger problem is the 3DS.
Yeah, and the problem with emulation for these two is that because of their hardware, emulation always runs into a problem.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have the dual screens, you have the 3D function, the 3DS, and the Wii U's tablet.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to run into issues trying to emulate these games.
Yeah.
So you can emulate them for the sake of preservation, but like getting the experience of playing them will be different.
Yeah, this probably will at the very least spur the emulation community on to get that functioning better.
Yeah.
But it's still, this is a case of, I actually do think the company should maintain these in perpetuity. I think they should just be on their eShops. You should just be able to play this shit on the Switch.
Yeah, the ideal situation is that, you can just get those games on anything else, but I don't know, I was thinking about this, and this just applies to, like, any company, where it's like, well, yeah, I can't go to the store and buy PS2 games new on the shelf anymore, but they didn't have an online market for the PS2, right?
Right.
But now that we're entering that market, like, do the same rules apply where it's like, well, yeah, eventually I'm not going to be able to go online on my PS3 because it's not cost effective for them to keep the servers up because, like, no one's buying anything on it and no one's using it.
Yeah, but I don't know. In my head, well, for one, I also think that Sony should also try to find a way to make PS3 games just, run off emulation
Right.
inside their PS5.
Yeah.
I spent $600 on that box. It should be able to, So, yeah, I do think, in a perfect world, of course, this is, well, for one, these servers probably cost these companies pennies because not very many people are accessing them.
I've heard actually that it's not super expensive, but it's not a write-off. Like,
yeah, but
it actually is costly to maintain outdated servers because you can't update them.
Yeah, but also, Nintendo sold like 10 million copies of Animal Crossing last year or in 2020. I think they could probably reach into their pocketbooks and find the money to maintain those servers.
The same thing goes for every company, but it's also at a point of like, well, eventually they're just not going to want to.
Right.
Yeah, they can afford it, but they're literally just spending money for no benefit to them whatsoever.
Yeah, well, that's the tragedy of capitalism.
Baby.
Yeah. So, the actual answer is that you should just be able to get actual emulators on your modern consoles.
Yeah.
Like provided by the company, and then you can just buy the old games.
Yeah, the perfect
making the money.
Yeah, the perfect situation to do all of this is Nintendo goes to the emulation groups and says, "Hey, here is a giant check.
Here's a massive cartoon check.
Yeah, we're gonna take your stuff and we're gonna sell it for $15.
Yeah, and I would if Sony or Nintendo was like it's a literal virtual console. Like I'm selling you a $15 virtual console that will let you access and purchase from a store like a bunch of old games. Yeah, I would pay that money. Sure, why not? That's great.
It has always been. It's not a matter of cost for old stuff. It's a matter of availability.
Right. That's it.
It's easier for me to play SNES games on an emulator because I can actually find those games. Even if I could find a copy of like a cartridge, there's no guarantee that it'll work.
And I can't hook I just bought a new TV.
Yeah.
I can't hook my GameCube up to my new TV. It doesn't have the plugs for it anymore.
Exactly. So the idea is you just download an emulator. And I don't know. I know hardware is a tricky situation, right? We've seen it. It's Nintendo switches up how they went from cartridges and they went to discs and they went to cartridges again. And even Sony, I know the PS3 is a logistical nightmare. It's why they couldn't maintain it running PS2 games because it just didn't work.
Yeah,
right.
It was a massive piece of shit. Yes.
Yeah. So I get that. So it's like, I understand that I can't just pop my PS3 disc in my PS5 and it doesn't work, because if they did that, the console would be $4,000 and it would take up half of my room.
Yeah.
That thing is big enough as it is.
Yeah, no, it's huge already.
So I get that. But I'm positive you can put an emulator on that thing.
I am positive you could have essentially a virtual machine running on your PlayStation 5's, systems the way that they do on a computer. And it would be perfectly fine.
And there's the other downside is I know there are some games that they just wouldn't be able to get on because the servers are gone, right? For old PS3 games or old Xbox 360 games, where it's those are gone. They don't exist anymore. We're not going to buy server space so you can play Halo 2 online on the classic Halo 2 online.
Right.
That's fine, but you can put most of them on there.
You can put a lot of them on there. Again, currently there is no way to play either Tales of Exilia. Unless you own a PlayStation 3, you have no way of playing Exilia right now. And there's a lot of games that exist on the PS3 that are in that same space that will never, unless something happens. I know we have PS3 emulation, but it's still pretty in its infancy. I mean, they've got it working really well, but it's a hard system to emulate for sure.
It blows my mind to think that Nintendo could turn around all of this bad press.
Yeah, absolutely.
In an instant by saying, boom, SNES emulator.
Yeah, and the thing is that, I mean, the most infuriating part of all of this is that for a long time, the OG Wii had one of the best retro gaming libraries you could get.
That's what it was. It was, boom, NES emulator, SNES emulator. Here's a gazillion games.
Yeah, and you could play N64 games, you could play SNES, you could play NES, like
that's
GameCube games. Like, you had so many options.
I play Star Fox 64 on my Wii.
Uh-huh.
Because that's the only place I can get it now.
And it's like what are you doing with all those games? Why didn't you? I don't understand how they haven't just taken the entire Wii Virtual Console library and just stuck it on the Switch.
And it's like, it can't be a licensing thing because it's you.
You own those games. They're your video games. You made them.
What? Like, this is one of those things where I'm like, there has to be a reason that we're just not privy to, right? Like,
no, it's just because there's just a bunch of 800-year-old skeletons that run Nintendo. That's it.
Like, this can't just be an arbitrary thing that they just aren't doing because they haven't thought of it yet, right?
No, this is no.
Who is holding them back and needs to retire so that they can do this?
It's so bizarre to me because
it's
like
probably Miyamoto.
Honestly, I would not be surprised if it actually was Miyamoto. Who's just like, no, they have to play the new games instead. It's a very Disney approach. I mean, like, Nintendo is the Disney.
It's video game Disney, yeah.
It's video game Disney, yeah, absolutely. It's weaponizing your nostalgia. It's keeping things in a virtual vault to release them so that when they are out of the vault, you know, that's literally what happened with old Disney re-releases onto VHS and DVD, right? Like, they were like, "Ooh, we're letting it out of the Disney vault. Buy it while you can." Like, that's literally what they're doing. Mm-hmm. They are the Disney of video games in basically every single way, including cultural monopoly. And yeah, no, I mean, it probably is Miyamoto and a bunch of other ghouls like that who are like, no, we only want them to focus on playing the new stuff. They, it's a side effect of capitalism. As
they announce, HD remake of Live Alive and ports of Chrono Cross and Front Mission 1 and 2.
Yeah, absolutely. But they're not the ones making that stuff.
But no, you cannot just play Mario World 2. Yeah,
no. Like, other companies are more... Square Enix is, for all of their faults, seems pretty interested in actually getting... modernized versions of a bunch of their old obscure games running on modern hardware and on the PC in particular, because they see like, oh yeah, that's just passive income forever. Yeah. If you just stick all of your old classic video games on a PC, that means that in 20 years somebody can play those games and you'll make, $20 off of them. And it's like, yeah, it seems like a no-brainer to me. But what do I know?
Yeah, I guess we're not, a 75-year-old Japanese businessman, so we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know anything. Because, like, to me, the craziest part is that it's not going to cut into new game sales, obviously.
No, of course not.
Of course not. But then also, like, you're not spending any money even getting those things working on modern hardware because you already did it with the Wii. So just do it again, and then you just sell that shit all over again, and you're making $10 new off of a 35-year-old video game.
You know what though? I think that just might be it. I think that they are afraid that it will cut into sales of new things.
Oh, almost certainly. That's also why Disney. That's also a Disney thing too. Yeah, 100%.
It's why would if we sell Super Mario RPG, they're not going to want to play Mario Kart.
Well, that actually is true. but that's me. There's not a lot of people who have brainworms like I do. You know, I would sooner play Super Mario RPG over Mario Kart. But there are also a lot of people who would play both.
Yeah, but the thing is, when I finish Mario RPG, I might be like, I want to play some Mario Kart now.
Yeah,
I can multitask.
I can play multiple video games as long as you make them available to me.
Yeah, I like 2 cakes.
You know? Holy shit, 2 cakes!
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah. So, in case, that Direct was great, but in case you thought we were getting too cozy with Nintendo, I feel like I had to throw those things in there too.
Yeah. Don't forget.
Mario.
We still hate Nintendo in this family.
Mario and Mickey Mouse are my friends, but Nintendo and Disney are evil. And that's important to remember, and it's not hypocritical, because I want Mickey Mouse and Mario in the public domain.
Yeah, absolutely. That is actually what we should... Well, God willing, we might have Mickey Mouse in the public domain sooner than later.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Moving on, though, to more good news. Let's get some good stuff in here. Sonic Movie 3 and live-action series announced. That was quick.
Yeah. Sure.
Sonic 3. I'm excited for this. I think the Sonic movies look super cozy and enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
They are just straight up doing the Sonic 1, 2, 3 and Knuckles thing with the movie.
Yeah, it's very funny.
Sonic 1, 2, and 3, and then the spin-off movie series is Knuckles.
Yeah, it's great.
So it's just so perfect. They also once again, this studio proves that they listen to feedback, because they just released some posters today where Colleen O'Shaughnessy got her own poster and got a credit as Tails.
Good for her.
So,
because I saw that she wasn't getting any spotlight in the way that the other
Idris Elba and Ben Schwartz are. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, no, that's Tails.
No,
we need that voice. She also deserves to be on a poster. Thank you. So they did that, which is great.
So good, cool. It's probably going to be Shadow or Metal Sonic in 3, and I don't know which one I want more.
Shadow, let's do it. Let's go full edgelord.
Okay, so who voices him though?
Ooh, Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson is a strong choice.
There you go. Completely batshit. Let's just go full completely insane.
You know what would? This is okay. So I've been very mean lately on Twitter.
Sure.
Ben Affleck.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Make him do the Batman voice. It's perfect.
Because he just did that whole thing where he's like, I don't want to do characters anymore. Like, I'm sick of it after the experience of this. Like, what if they paid him enough money to do?
What if they tricked him into doing Shadow the Hedgehog, and he's like, God damn it! How did I end up here? Oh, I'm sorry, Ben Affleck.
Oh, that would like people. They would be so mad.
And that's why it would be funny. So they should do it. Yes, absolutely.
But Robert Pattinson is also very, very strong.
Thank you. I think those would be some really completely incomprehensible review or interviews. You know what I mean? Which is perfect.
Yeah. Platinum Games says NFTs have no positive impact on creators or users in any sense. Good. Thank you.
Did you also, is the thing about them basically like begging to get acquired also in the news?
I skipped over it because I wanted to put these two back to back actually, but yeah, Platinum Games is like, NFTs are garbage. Also, can we have like $5 to get us through the rest of the week? We just need a little bit more. Okay.
They are literally just like all but begging to get acquired by somebody at this point. They too would like the big Bungie bucks, you know?
Mm-hmm. They're like,
and
hey Sony,
I understand.
I see that you bought Bungie. We've been really good to you in the past, right?
Sony's like, didn't you make Bayonetta for Nintendo?
This is really uncomfortable.
It's very depressing. But also I saw it coming. Basically, as soon as they announced that we're making a new engine, I was like, oh, there's literally only one way this can end now.
Yeah.
Like, Once a company says, yeah, we're going to make our own engine, unless you're Capcom and you somehow magically fucking nail it on your first try, which I don't know how they did that, but good for them. Most game companies are not Capcom. Most game companies are like Platinum Games, where if they announce they're making their own engine, you should start expecting to hear about layoffs and studio closures eventually. Even Square Enix fucked up making their own engine for a really long... Why do you think Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy VII Remake are on UE4 of all
because they
things?
tried their own engine and they're like, oh, never mind. Oh, bad.
That new Forspoken?
Yeah.
Forspoken runs on a highly modified version of the Luminous engine. So I guess they finally figured it out.
They were like,
maybe...
we can sacrifice this one.
Oh yeah. But it didn't seem to go through development hell. Yeah. So, they announced it and it came out within kind of the release window. So maybe they finally figured it out. That was a huge part of what was like a stumbling point for Final Fantasy 15 was that it was also running on the Luminous engine. And that's also why like Final Fantasy 13 was kind of a nightmare because again, Luminous engine. But it sounds like they finally have it running because I think 16 is also running on Luminous, if I'm correct.
I don't know, but that sounds about right.
So it sounds like they finally, ironed things out. But the point is that it took them a very long time to get there. And they're Square Enix. They've got Square Enix bucks. Platinum don't got Square Enix bucks.
Platinum feels like the prime example of getting way too big for your britches.
Yeah.
They were the highlight of, like, the talk of the town for a while. It's like a Platinum game is coming out. Oh boy, this is gonna be great. They had Bayonetta, they had Metal Gear Rising. They just had all these hits, and it's like then they didn't have the energy to keep it going.
Yeah. So
and
we'll see.
Here's the quote from Inaba, and this is very sad. I agree that you don't see a lot of acquisitions in Japan, and personally I think it's weird, Inaba said. For some of these big companies with all their money, you sometimes think, come on, buy up some companies already. It does feel strange to see Japanese companies being passive all of the time.
Yeah. It's okay, buddy. We understand. You bought that studio in Tokyo, and now you're really regretting it. But... that's not Sony's fault.
We got a bunch of empty desks that we need to fill.
That's not Sony's fault.
Nope.
Although, I do think, we were talking about this in the Discord, I do think the best outcome for Platinum overall would to get acquired by Sony. Like, of all of the, I'm not a fan of the current consolidation trend, but I also would like Platinum to stay open. So, I think your best option is to get bought by Sony, and then your second best is maybe Nintendo. But again, I don't know. I don't know how much freedom they would have being directly owned by Nintendo, and also Nintendo very, very rarely fully purchases studios even to begin with. Yeah. They bought level, I think it was level 5 last year,
and that was their games, not level 5.
Next level, okay.
Yeah.
They bought Next Level last year, and then before that, their last the last studio they bought, I just totally forgot that word. Acquisition, there we go. Their last acquisition was Monolith in 2007. So that's how rarely Nintendo does that.
Did they own Intelligent Systems?
Do they own Insys? Or are they like a second party studio the way Monolith was for so long?
Yeah, they own that. They're headquartered in Nintendo Kyoto Research Center. So
so they're just straight up owned by Nintendo now. That was good for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of being able to make basically whatever they want with a big fat fucking check, it would be Sony, and I could see it happening. We'll see.
Oh, they were always actually owned by Nintendo. They were never third party. They were always second party.
Oh, okay.
1983, they made Mario Bros.
Ah,
so
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no. I would much rather see Platinum get bought by Sony than, hang out and wither and die, because
absolutely.
because kind of like with Insomniac, Sony would just go, all right, here's your money, do your thing.
Yeah, make your thing.
Yeah.
And then we'll spend the money to hype train it,
Mm-hmm.
And I think a Sony exclusive Platinum game would probably do extremely well. Yeah. I think that would move numbers. Yeah.
I don't think it's in this article, but they also have talked about bringing back Scalebound. They've mentioned trying to revive Scalebound at some point.
I hope so. I think that would be nice, because they really got fucked with that one. It sounded like they had made some pretty decent progress on Scalebound before Microsoft axed that one, which is why they would never get acquired by Microsoft.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that bridge was
unless Microsoft just wrote them an absolutely massive fucking check, but it would have to, it'd have to be huge, I would think. But otherwise, that bridge is burned. I don't think Kamiya would abide by that.
Not at all.
So yeah, we'll see. I hope something happens.
Yeah.
I don't want Platinum to close down. They're not really knocking things out of the park the way they used to, but shit.
You don't
Bayonetta 3 might be good.
Bayonetta 3 looks really good. I'm still kind of excited for their kaiju game.
Yeah, so, please.
Every Platinum game besides Babylon's Fall, every Platinum game you look at and you're like, well, this one could be good.
You're just on your hands and knees praying for it to be good, so we'll see. Bayonetta 3 has to come out before they close down,
yes.
So, please.
Next, Tales of series producer wants to create something exciting for the 30th anniversary.
Do you mean it's like something good?
So I thought this was this year. They're talking about 2025.
Oh, okay. So that I guess that gives us a window. I mean, 3-year development window makes sense for a Tales game. Because by now, at this point, they are almost certainly already working on it.
Yeah.
Like they've probably been working on it for 6 months.
Quote, the series will celebrate its 30th anniversary in 2025. Rather than making a commemorative work simply because it would be the series' 30th anniversary, I would like to make something that the fans would want. I think we should provide a wider range of Tales of titles and experiences for consoles, not to mention developing new titles on a regular basis. So,
going back to the multiple teams thing again?
Here's the other thing. I just saw this. However, I have no intention of ignoring the demand to port or remake past works within the series.
Oh, please, God. That's all I want for the anniversary is for modernized either ports or remakes or remasters. Like do what Square Enix is doing and do some nice remasters of old Tales games, specifically Abyss. Please, God, please. Yeah, I think that would be the best. Please, just get some of these old games out of hell.
Yeah.
Like, so many of the old Tales games are now just they like I said, Exilia has it the worst because it's in PS3 hell, which is probably the worst place to be. But even like Abyss, still it's on the old PS2, and the other thing it exists on is a really bad 3DS port. I would know, I've played it. And yeah, like Legendia is on nothing.
Yeah.
Even if it isn't like that good of a Tales game, I think it still should be playable for preservation reasons. And I mean, like a lot of the old Tales games. I mean, at this point, I don't even need a remake or a remaster. I just need them on PC.
Yeah. Just put them as they are on PC.
Put them all, like Fantasia, Eternia, Rebirth. Do them all. Just do a fan event, do your Tales Fest, and be like, surprise, we're putting everything on Steam, and then watch the money roll in, please.
According to this article, they're gonna do more information later in 2022.
Okay.
But this is just like vague interview.
Sure.
Hopes and dreams.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, and this is something that's been kicked around a lot. Like, I know that at some point last year, there was a survey going around that was apparently of Namdai, like, floating the idea of, Tales ports and remasters and remakes.
Yeah.
So, I hope something comes of this. I think it would be really great because, boy, oh boy, it's really hard to play some old Tales games. It is not like Final Fantasy at all.
Nope. It is tough. Next, Transformers Last Spot Standing to reveal the last days of the Transformers universe. So, Nick Roche and artist E.J. Sui are writing the last bit of story for IDW 2.
Okay, good for them. Hopefully we'll, send this out with a bang, even if, it started with a whimper.
Right. So this is the last living Cybertronian and their, finale thing.
Okay.
It's whatever your superhero comic, here's the flash forward 50 years or everyone else is dead and blah, blah, blah.
Right, it's one of those.
So, yeah, they also announced, this is in the article, but they also announced, I think we talked about it the other, last week, or last news episode, where it was, they're doing the end of the war, which is weird, because it hasn't started yet in IDW 2.
Don't worry about it.
They still haven't gone to Earth.
Don't worry about it. They got a real slow start, and unfortunately it bit them in the ass.
Yeah,
Whoops.
So... I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited for this. I'm glad they do have the window to end, give it a finale and not just oh, it's over.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes, and it's cool that Nick Roche is writing it.
Sure.
Activision CEO Bobby Kotick has a second secret company that spent big money to back GOP campaigns.
Wow.
I'm not.
Stunner.
I wasn't surprised. Were you surprised, Thief? I'm surprised we can't see more bones.
Yeah, that's not surprising even a little bit. I'm not shocked even slightly. So Bobby Kotick is a massive piece of shit. News at 11.
Wow. Did not expect that.
Wow, you mean that Bobby Kotick is a bad person?
Wow, you mean Bobby, there's probably a photo of Bobby Kotick and Trump shaking hands somewhere?
Bobby Kotick is literally in Epstein's little black book. Yeah. Please, being friends with Donald Trump is the least of his worries. So no. Mr. Kotick has got a lot of probably literal skeletons in his closet.
Wow, who could have seen this coming?
Literally everyone.
Yeah. Street Fighter 6 officially announced. That logo sucks.
That logo sucks, and wide Ryu is...
Ryu! Okay,
boy,
Ryu has been progressively getting bigger and bigger as Street Fighter goes on.
It's getting really ridiculous.
He was already pretty big in Street Fighter 2, so this is not surprising.
We have gone full Chris Redfield at this point, though.
The surprising thing is that they've canonized Bearded Ryu.
Yeah, Bearded Ryu. Why'd they show his dick, though? Why'd they show his toes, though? It's just a weird extremely weird way to announce Street Fighter 6 is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess they are moving forward and saying that, Luke will be the main character of Street Fighter 6.
Sure, great.
I guess. He does. He looks better here than he did in Street Fighter 5. So.
Yeah, that's true.
We didn't see any gameplay. We didn't see any, so,
this isn't real.
It was an announcement. I don't care. Set it after 3.
Just set it after. Just do it already. Just do it.
You can't shove any more games between 2 and 3.
Please, okay. God, we're dying.
Just put it after 3 and bring Q back.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't even play Street Fighter. I've never really been interested in playing Street Fighter. I still want it after 3.
Just to see what happens.
I want to see Street Fighter 6 where Sean is a good character.
I am looking forward to Capcom using the RE engine to find new and innovative ways to make Ken look like dog shit even more.
Poor guy.
Poor Ken just keeps looking worse and worse as the series progresses.
It's
like, oh.
Okay, So, what do you think will be the RE Engine show-off for Street Fighter? Because they can't make it gross, because Street Fighter is a cartoony fighting game.
Correct.
They can't make it slimy like Resident Evil, right?
Aw, man, yeah, I know.
What do you think is going to be the thing where they're like, look what we can do with these character models now?
I don't know.
I
can't even think of anything.
I think everyone's going to be really sweaty.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. It's gonna be like real-time sweat instead of real-time dirt.
We're gonna
slime.
We're gonna get like sweat spray and like you get clocked in the chin and like drool comes out.
Ew. I really don't. I'm really not a fan of that. The more I'm like imagining it, I've like closed my third eye and I'm thinking about it and I'm going, no, I don't like that actually. But it'll probably be like you'll get sweatier as the match goes on. Ugh, crawl. It's making my skin crawl. I don't like it.
Because they can't, they don't do blood in Street Fighter. They don't do anything like that.
We can't have monster goo.
Yeah. But no, I mean, like, it has as long as they fix the logo, which after someone found out that the logo is just a stock logo that they edited very slightly and it cost them $80, I'm sure Capcom is like, all right, make a real one.
All right, maybe we should make a real logo now. It's ridiculous.
As long as they fix the problems people had with 5, and it's Street Fighter. It's gonna be good. It's Street Fighter.
It doesn't even have to be good. It's gonna sell.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be good as long as it moves units, which it will because it's Street Fighter 6, and that's really all that matters.
Yeah, we literally have nothing else to go off of besides Ryu getting fucking ripped as hell.
He's so wide. He's just... That's the thing that struck me when I was looking at it. I was like, how does he fit through doors?
I'm wondering if, like, that's just, like, a weird thing about his character model, because, like, the side profile, like, proportions are always, like, a little bit weirder.
Yeah, very strange.
You're not going to see it from the front, so they have to, like, they have to flub certain things.
Yeah, but everything about that model, I don't know. They lovingly showed that thing off, and it was extremely uncanny valley for me. For some, it's just like, I don't know how I feel about this.
He's gonna have realistic dick swinging physics.
Yeah, it's like we should have gotten for Dante in DMC5. Finally, we've come all the way.
We saw people like talking about like, is this dick physics in DMC5? And Capcom's like, oh, you like that? You want
We've
that?
We've got
it. Okay. We'll put this in Street Fighter. This is what you wanted, right?
People just taking frantic notes, like, include dick physics.
You wanted canonical evidence that Ryu doesn't wear underwear?
Here you go. It's like, actually, yeah, that's pretty great. Listen, there's gonna be jiggle physics because it's Street Fighter, so it should be equal opportunity jiggle physics, is what I'm saying.
It is upsetting.
Ryu's man titties should bounce whenever he jumps.
Oh yeah, that'll be
it.
Thing is
that'll be it. Everybody's jiggling all over the place like a plate full of Jello.
The only downside is that Ryu is shown wearing shoes. Apparently, he's getting old because he's wearing shoes now.
Ah, tragic.
He literally has a quote, I think in like 3, where like one of his win quotes is like, "No, I go barefoot for comfort."
He's such a fucking weird guy.
I can certainly afford shoes, I just choose not to.
I am glad that the beard is sticking around, however, because everybody likes the beard on Ryu.
Oh, Hot Ryu was like the big thing about 5.
Yeah, absolutely. Good for him.
Yeah. And then finally, sunsetting the Bethesda.net launcher and migrating to Steam.
Ha ha!
You didn't do this already?
I am actually stunned that this thing still existed after all this time.
When I saw this, I had to think like, oh yeah, that's right. I didn't buy Fallout 4 off Steam.
Yeah. No, I bought Fallout 4 off Steam.
Did you?
Yeah, no, Fallout 4 is extremely on Steam. No.
Oh, so this is just for...
It's just for 76 and like a bunch of other weird shit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, Fallout 4 is very much on Steam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So that makes it even more irrelevant that like you don't even buy any of the like the moneymaker Bethesda games off of Steam, and you never did. So, a very strange decision to be like, we got a launcher and we're never going to use it. It was for like 76 and a few other things. Although, again, I think you can also buy 76 on Steam these days. So
I think it was 76 and Elder Scrolls Online. I think were
wow.
the two.
No one can. It's fucking nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, so they just put out like an FAQ, like, you know, it's sunsetting. They put out an FAQ. It's like nothing will change.
Sure.
You're just
you still have
like,
your game.
Yeah, if you bought on Bethesda.net, it'll be on Steam now.
Right.
Your saves are gonna be fine. Like the online stuff, like all your in-game currency, blah blah blah, is transferring over.
Sure.
Nothing is changing. We're just not gonna do this thing anymore.
Yeah, because that's a stupid thing to do. Nobody buys Bethesda games off of their launcher. Steam is for Bethesda games. That's where those live, you know?
Yeah.
So. Okay, is that it?
That's all we got for news.
We did it! We did it! We climbed this whole mountain, Ben. Let's go play more Final Fantasy XIV.
Yes, we absolutely will. Thank you to Vistager of User Background Music. You can follow me on Twitter at thegorgepodcast. You can follow Sara at radioinactivity. You can email us at thegorgepodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to listen to Sara talk another podcast, you can listen to it.
Hey, I'm in another podcast called Big Gay Nerds, where me and a bunch of cool queer friends get together and we play tabletop games. We cycle through different systems. It's always a lot of fun. Right now we're playing Beam Saber, a mech pilot hack of Forged in the Dark, where instead of playing as thieves, we play as pilots of giant robots in a complicated war. We actually just did our season finale. It went up the other day. It was great. It was an extremely tense, very dramatic way to kind of close out the Beam Saber arc. So go check that out. You can find us. It's Big Gay Nerds wherever you get your podcasts. So yeah, thanks.
All right, that'll do it for us. We can't do Fuck Bobby Kotick again. We've done it like 3 times in a row.
We've done it like 6 times. Yeah, no. I got one. You know that filter that Square Enix runs all their shit through and it looks so bad?
Yeah.
Fuck that. It's really bad. It's just like, what if we took all of the definition of these gorgeous pre-rendered backgrounds, just beautifully, lovingly rendered by hand, especially Chrono Cross, which has, for whatever you could say about Chrono Cross, does truly have some of the most beautiful environment art I've ever seen in a video game. It's stunning,
gorgeous.
There's really nothing kind of like it in video games. Like I've said before that I'm really starving for another kind of tropical JRPG, because Chrono Cross really is kind of it. And then, I mean, they're just beautiful and they have so much life and such, bright colors, just immaculate lighting, and they're gorgeous. And that filter that Square Enix runs their shit through crushes all of it. Yeah, just reduces it all to these ugly blobs.
It has no idea what it's looking at, so it just wings it, and it looks bad.
I jokingly said they ran it through Waifu, but I actually think Waifu would probably handle those backgrounds better.
Yeah.
So
when you get Chrono Cross, turn that off, turn the models on.
Turn the models on, and like I said, I saw the new portraits. Turn the old portraits on. I understand that the old art, like, I understand having, as somebody who does draw occasionally, the artist for Chrono Cross probably saw his old portraits and were like, oh, these are kind of, they're very rough and kind of like a very strange kind of muddy art style. So I understand like his compulsion as an artist to maybe want to redraw them. However, I think they have a certain charm to them. So I actually do think you should keep those on. Try to fix the models, but keep the old portraits on as well, because they're very charming. Especially, they work really well with some of the more bizarre character designs in Chrono Cross, because there are a lot.
There's a lot of weirdos in that game.
There's a lot of weirdos in that game. I cannot wait for people to meet. Chrono Cross is a game that not only has you let you have a Mushroom Man as a party member, it also lets you have a giant voodoo doll as a party member, and a talking dog.
And a skeleton.
It might actually have 2 talking dogs, and a skeleton, and a pixie, and a clown, and a rock star, like a visual K J rock star. Yeah, It owns.
Great.
It's such a good game. It's such a good game. It's so fucking weird. I love it. Please buy Chrono Cross when it comes out. That's actually what I'm saying. I'm dying.
All right, that's it.
We're
Good
done.
night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.